Good evening. This is Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler. I wanted to show you before we go into the long range discussion just some highlights from this upcoming week. I had forgot to include this on the short range forecast I just recorded. So, a quick breakdown. We're looking at rain showers on Monday, lingering into Tuesday morning, and we're going to have 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch of rainfall. Heaviest rainfall will be over southeastern Virginia. Also, keep in mind the supermoon occurs on Monday night. Tomorrow night, there'll be a supermoon, the largest moon, the closest approach to Earth since 1948. So it'll be a really cool sight to see. Hopefully, the cloud cover will break up tomorrow night. We'll get some breaks in the cloud cover, and we'll be able to see that tomorrow night here in southeast Virginia. All right, then we're looking at a drying out trend for Tuesday and Wednesday with seasonal temperatures. Highs in the upper 50s to lower 60s with lows in the 40s. And then we're going to have a minor upper level disturbance which may move in on Wednesday afternoon and evening, producing very light rain showers. As I mentioned in the previous short range video, we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then dry and warmer conditions return on Friday. And then the latest forecasts are also available, as I mentioned on the previous video, on the Spot On Weather Facebook and Twitter pages. All right, so now that we have that knocked out, we're going to go ahead and talk about the long-range forecast next. So we're going to move into that discussion. We're going to go to the long-range forecast. So let's go to that right now. All right, starting with Friday, November 18th. All right, this pattern over the next 5 to 10 days is going to be characterized by a lot of troughs and ridges. And if I move over to the 300 millibar chart there on the left where the jet stream resides, we have a big time wavy pattern here over the United States. All right, and these areas where the jet stream dips like this, that is areas of colder pockets of air that are coming down from Canada and more stormier conditions. So we have one off the east coast of the United States on Friday. Then we get this nice little ridge that builds into the southeast Virginia area, which will produce a nice warm and dry day. And then there'll be another trough of low pressure over the inner mountain rocky mountain type region there in the west with another storm system with mountain snow. And then you see another ridge coming into the west coast of the United States. So this pattern is very wavy. All right, and with that kind of pattern, you're going to get a lot of changes over the 5 to 10 day period. Now let's take a look at the 850 millibar level, where at 5,000 feet gives you an idea of where the temperatures are warmer, the different temperature patterns. All right, so in this area on Friday, we have a high pressure system centered off the southeast coast, and we're going to get some more of a southwesterly, west-southwesterly wind flow into southeast Virginia. So it's going to be fairly mild on Friday. All right, and the coldest air is up here over Canada, central and northern Canada. And we really haven't tapped into that air just yet, but I imagine with time here, we're going to over the long range. All right, looking at the Sunday, 20 November time period. So now we got a deep trough digging off the U.S. West Coast and a nice huge ridge over the Rocky Mountain states. And then another trough coming down into Indiana and Ohio, all right? And an area upper level low offshore. So we're going to get a lot of cold air starting to point its way towards southeast Virginia at this point in time. And then a look at the temperatures at 850 millibars, about 5,000 feet above the ground. You can see the purple shading is the coldest temperatures at 5,000 feet, -12 to -18 degrees Celsius temperatures pouring in to northern Illinois, Indiana, down into Kentucky. And you can see they're pointing this way. They're pointing towards southeast Virginia at that time. All right. And then next Wednesday, going out to day 10, all right, that trough pattern from the previous slide here, that becomes more zonal, but we still have a lot of troughing off the west coast and into the west coast, a little bit of a ridging pattern, but for the most part, it's fairly zonal, or the jet stream is blowing from west to east horizontally. All right. We do have a huge reservoir of cold air, though, that's building over Canada because of that above normal snowpack that sits up there at this time. So again, we're going to have to keep an eye on that over the long range period. Just there's a few slides just to show you kind of that we're going to have an interesting period of weather coming up. Looks like there'll be some shots of cold air, and there'll be some mild days in between those cold shots. So it won't be completely cold, but it's just something to think about. And then the teleconnections, as I mentioned, I mentioned this on Friday on the video. Again, this is the GFS American Model Forecast, and I tell you what, we're still looking to be negative. If you look down here, the North Atlantic Oscillation is still negative, which that again indicates more of a blocking pattern at high latitudes. So we'll have to see how that plays out. That usually favors more active troughing on the East Coast, which kind of gets stuck. And then if you look over here in the Arctic Oscillation AO, and that forecast is also negative. It comes briefly positive here in the middle of the month, and then it goes back down negative. Again, that favors a colder troughing pattern in the United States East. All right, and usually gives Southeast Virginia colder weather. So long-range final thoughts to wrap it up. We have a fast-moving weather pattern that's in place, and we're going to see the next 5 to 10 days episodes of cold air when those troughs kind of spill into the area, and then you'll see these brief warm-ups in between those episodes of cold air. We could have some occasional periods of precipitation also with this kind of fast-moving wavy pattern. All right, so if we see changes in the pattern, it's going to be changes in the weather overall are going to occur rather quickly with this kind of setup. And again, the teleconnections remain favorable. The AO, the NAO, and I didn't really show you the Madden-Julian oscillation chart tonight, but it's all still, we're into phase 8 right now. Phase 8 and phase 1 generally indicate colder temperatures in the east. They're all in line with a colder weather pattern over the eastern United States and southeastern Virginia particularly. So I just want to point out that Spot on Weather will be issuing a winter outlook. That will be released within the coming week, so expect to see that soon, hopefully within the next 7 days. You'll get to see what our thoughts are for the winter outlook for Southeast Virginia. There's a lot of mixed signals out there. There's the official outlook from NOAA indicates a La Nina pattern, but we're under thinking right now that these other teleconnection patterns may trump the La Nina, which there's a La Nina advisory in effect now. We think these teleconnection patterns will overpower the weaker La Nina, and therefore we're expecting still the latter part of November and December colder than normal period for Southeast Virginia, and the precipitation still up in the air on our thoughts on that. Most likely it'll be near normal, but again, the winter outlook will be out within the next 7 days. So that's all we have for this evening. Quick look at the long-range forecast. That is all, and everyone out there, have a great evening.